The voice from the cradle and the shadow of Herod. Location: the temple courtyards, Jerusalem. Time: days after the birth. The return of Mary was not a quiet affair. It was a collision. She walked into the city not through the back alleys, but through the main gates. The infant Jesus was wrapped tight in woolen swaddling clothes, pressed against her chest. Her face, bronzed by the desert sun, held a strange, luminous calm that unsettled the guards. As she moved through the crowded streets, the hum of the marketplace died down. Heads turned, eyes narrowed. The silence rippled outward until the entire square stood still. This was Mary, the girl who had vanished, the temple virgin who had disappeared for months, and now she had returned with a child. The whispering started like the hiss of 1,000 snakes. Is that not the daughter of Imran? A child, but she has no husband. The shame, the absolute shame on the house of David. She walked straight to the gathering of her family and the priests. The elders stood with arms crossed, their faces masks of righteous indignation. They saw only one thing: biological impossibility, therefore moral failure. A senior priest stepped forward, his voice dripping with disappointment. "O Mary, you have certainly done a strange, monstrous thing. O sister of Aaron, your father was not a man of evil, nor was your mother unchaste." The accusation hung heavy in the air. They were waiting for a defense. They expected her to cry, to beg, to name a seducer. Mary stopped. She looked at the bearded men, the keepers of the law, who were now her judges. She remembered the command of the angel: say nothing. With a slow, deliberate movement, she did not speak. Instead, she pointed. She pointed a trembling finger at the bundle in her arms. The crowd erupted in scoffing laughter and anger. "How can we speak to one who is in the cradle, a mere child?" the priest shouted, insulted. "Do you mock us, woman?" And then the impossible happened. The blanket stirred. The infant, days old, whose eyes should have been unfocused and whose voice should have been a cry, turned his head. He looked at the high priest. The gaze was not that of a baby. It was the gaze of the Ancient of Days. The laughter died instantly. A terrifying chill swept through the courtyard. The infant's lips parted. His voice was clear, resonant, and shocking. It carried the weight of thunder, yet the softness of a breeze. "Indeed, I am the servant of God," the infant spoke. Men gasped. A woman fainted. The priests stumbled back, clutching their robes, their faces drained of blood. The infant continued, his voice ringing against the stone pillars. "And he has made me blessed wherever I am, and has enjoined upon me prayer and charity as long as I remain alive. And he made me dutiful to my mother, and he has not made me a wretched tyrant." The infant paused, his eyes sweeping the stunned crowd before delivering the final decree of his own existence. "Peace is on me the day I was born, the day I will die, and the day I am raised alive." Silence. Absolute, petrified silence. The baby closed his eyes and settled back into his mother's arms. The miracle was so undeniable, so visceral, that no stone was lifted, no accusation was spoken. Mary turned and walked through the parted crowd, who stared at her now not with judgment, but with holy terror. She had been vindicated by the word of God itself. Location: the fortress of Herodium. Time: several months later. But news of miracles travels fast, and in a land occupied by Rome, miracles are dangerous. They smell like rebellion. High upon a man-made mountain, King Herod the Great paced his mosaic floors. He was a genius builder and a madman killer. He had murdered his own wife and sons to keep his throne. Now whispers from the east had reached him.
3 magi, astronomers from Persia, had arrived in Jerusalem. They were asking a question that made Herod's blood run cold. Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. King of the Jews? Herod touched the cold hilt of his dagger. I am the King of the Jews. He summoned his scribes. Where, he hissed, where do the prophecies say this Messiah is to be born? Bethlehem, they answered, trembling, in the land of Judah. Herod smiled, a smile that did not reach his dead eyes. He told the Magi to find the child so he too could worship him. But in his heart he planned a massacre. He would not take chances. If he couldn't find the one, he would kill them all. Every male child in Bethlehem under the age of 2 was sentenced to death. The dream and the flight. But the God who made an infant speak would not let his plan be thwarted by a paranoid king. That night, in a humble dwelling where Mary was staying, under the guardianship of Joseph the carpenter, a righteous man chosen to protect her, an angel pierced the veil of sleep. Arise, the command came to Joseph in a dream. Take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. There was no time to pack, no time to say goodbye. Under the cover of a moonless night, they moved. It was a covert operation. Joseph led the donkey, Mary clutching Jesus, casting fearful glances at the Roman torches flickering on the horizon. They slipped out of Bethlehem just hours before the soldiers arrived. The road to Egypt. The journey was brutal. They were refugees, traversing the Sinai, a landscape of scorching sand and bandit-infested canyons. This was the same desert where Moses had once wandered. Now the new Moses was crossing it in reverse. They walked for weeks. Legend and history blend here. Stories say that when the heat became unbearable, palm trees bowed down to shade them, and idols in pagan temples crumbled as the infant passed by. Finally, they reached the banks of the Nile. Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, the land of ancient magic and colossal pyramids. Here, among the Jewish diaspora in Alexandria and Cairo, they vanished into anonymity. The King of the universe was now a refugee child, learning to walk on foreign soil, babbling his first words in a dialect of Aramaic mixed with the sounds of Egypt. Back in Judea, the screams of mothers echoed in the streets of Bethlehem as Herod's soldiers carried out their butcher's work. But they were too late. The bird had flown. For years, Jesus grew in silence. He watched the great Nile River flow, knowing that one day he would return to the Jordan. He was waiting, waiting for Herod to die, waiting for the call. The boy was becoming a man, and the man was becoming a prophet.
He conquered the hunger. He silenced the devil. The test of the Spirit is over. Now the test of the world begins. The carpenter has emerged from the wilderness, not to build tables, but to shatter the laws of nature. He is walking toward a wedding in Cana, where water will obey his command. But as his power grows, so does the target on his back. From turning water into wine to walking on the stormy seas, the age of miracles is here. What happens when the impossible becomes reality? Click subscribe so you don't miss episode 3, where the blind see, the lepers are cleansed, and a dead man walks out of his grave.